Good evening and welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, who's not on yet, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, and my cousin Todd. Tonight we've got a full show for you. William Byron wins NASCAR in Las Vegas. The Equal Rights Amendment is roaming the halls of Congress again with this alarming makeover. 38 states had to ratify the ERA by 1979. It didn't happen, and supporters are still trying to bend the rules to ensure its passage decades later. The United States House of Representatives lawmakers clash on the GOP, that's the Grand Old Party's effort to ban transgender women from sports. White House is grilled on President Biden's flip-flop on DC crime bill after the Democratic uproar. The White House insists its policy statement opposing Republican-led effort to block DC's crime code was not a promise President Biden would veto legislation. The NBA Grizzlies' Ja Morant gets 8-mile treatment as he faces ridicule over gun drama. Morant is one of the top players in the NBA, but a cloud of controversy looms over him. The House GOP plots new January 6 probes despite internal backlash over McCarthy giving Carson footage. March Madness is here. It's the best time of the year. Well, one of the best times of the year. Do you have your brackets ready? And more, if we can fit it all in. First up, NASCAR with Steven. Steven, Chevrolet drivers have won the first 3 races of the 2023 Cup Series season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Toyotas and the Fords are starting to get a little bit concerned. And William Byron drives Chevrolet. He won this week in his 24 car. He's with the Hendricks team, and his teammate, one of his teammates, Elliott, wasn't there. That drives number 9 because he's out. And I want Aguna to know this when he gets on the show. We'll have to bring it up again. But he was snowboarding in Colorado, and so he's going to be out for a few weeks because he should probably stick to racing cars instead of trying to snowboard. And the race was a typical 1.5 mile race at Vegas. And if that's what it's going to be this year, then you can kind of, I'm not trying to be negative, but you kind of plan things to, maybe read during it something, or do a macrame or a project or something while the race is on, because it just doesn't really hold your attention that much. It's okay at best. But next week it's coming up. It's Phoenix. It's a mile track. And it should be a lot of fun. This is a shorter track than the 1.5 cookie cutter. This is it has its own. It's got really low banking, which means it's more hard racing around the corners. And Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, any one of them should do well this week. So I'm leaning that way with them because they are really good at this track, especially Kevin Harvick. He's crazy good here. It's his last year, and he has something to prove. So, and it's also funny, and Denny Hamlin, I don't know if you've heard, but when it was the lotteries up to $2.2 billion, the Powerball, he played $300 worth at a convenience store. I don't know why he thought he needed the money, but he won some. I don't know how much he won. He didn't play the extra dollar for the multiplier, which I think it was 4 or 5, but he won some money, which I think is kind of funny because you never hear about athletes, doing what the normal people do to try to get rich because they're already super rich. He's already a multi-millionaire, and he's 43, I think. He's been in NASCAR for a long time. He's pretty established, but maybe he just wanted to get on the fun and I guess be a billionaire and maybe buy another team and be more influential in NASCAR. So I don't blame you for doing it. I just think it's kind of funny. But it's going to be good this week. Phoenix is going to be a really good race. Looking forward to it. And I do hope Kevin Harvick ends up beating Joey and Denny to the line. I hope he wins. Hope it's a good week this week.
All right. So also we're going to talk about your Ja Morant. You said you were following him, but unfortunately he is in a little trouble. The Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant was suspended at least 2 games on Saturday after he appeared to hold a gun in a video posted to social media. Let me share my screen with you and show you that. You brought him up, Stephen, and you said that's a player you're watching. So do you want to talk about that unfortunate incident and why in the world that was the case?
I think the NBA knows that I pretty much boycotted them for a long time, but then I got back into it because it's just about the game now. It's just about the playing basketball. It's not about politics. It's not about anything else. It's just about the game. And of course, I had to latch onto a player, and they're like, "Oh, that's the guy who didn't like basketball. He wants to watch this guy. Let's punish him. Let's not let him watch this guy right now." He's suspended for at least a couple games, and we don't know how many more. But if you see the picture or the video, he's holding a gun, which looks like a gun, but he's holding it and it's going straight down, and he's holding it like that, and he's kind of laughing. And I think the rumor on the street is that the gun was actually a lighter, that it wasn't a real gun, but it's so inappropriate. And he's a kid. I'm with you, 22 or so. He got $300 million in the bank. He's just a kid at a strip club playing, and somebody handed it to him. He's like, "Yeah, let's take a selfie, or let's take a picture of me." Ha ha ha.
That's ridiculous. That's what it is.
I think
it's ridiculous. I think it's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb.
And it's just unnecessary. You know, certain things you just can and cannot do. And certain, it's a job responsibilities. Some things you can't, and you can, and you cannot do. And he doesn't have any business doing this.
I think he was having fun. I think he had a few drinks. I think it was late at night. It was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. He's with his friends, and he just doesn't know that things are going to become on social media. Maybe somebody takes a picture. He's not even thinking about it going out because he's just caught up in the party. Maybe he's the 10th person that held it up and was like, "Durr, haha." But I don't think it was anything that was going to cause any harm to anybody that night. And I think they really need to look at this closely, teach him a little lesson, but get him back out there because the NBA needs players that are this exceptional. I don't think he did anything that should keep him from playing for more than he has.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Oh, well, live and learn, huh?
I guess so. He's a kid. He's going to learn from it.
Well, he's not a kid. He's an adult, but.
I mean, to me, he's a kid. He's like 22 years old. To me, that's a kid. He's still young. His brain isn't fully developed until he's 25. Now, if he does it after 25, we can talk about it. Right now, he's a kid.
I don't know. I think I beg to differ with you that way. I think the brain is developed. I mean, to say it's not developed until 25 is like ridiculous.
That's what the scientists say. You have to believe the science, Stacy.
Oh, okay. Well, there is some science to bracketology, and let's look at the screen for March Madness and see the science that's there for bracketology. Unfortunately, UCLA lost its starting guard for March Madness with an Achilles injury report. Wow. Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Clark limped his bench Tuesday night against Arizona, knowing something wasn't right. That's him. UCLA, of course, went to they won, and I think they went to the championship for the Pac-10. And of course, they want to be. That is the coach that I like from former Cincinnati head coach. What was his name? Let me see. They must have said his name in here. Let me look for his name. You don't know the coach I'm talking about?
I don't.
I can't believe I always talked about him because he was such a good coach in Cincinnati, and he was in Cincinnati for such a long time. And then he went to UCLA. Mick, his first name is Mick Cronin.
Okay.
Mick Cronin. Great team, great coach. coaches some
It
great
got really hard.
players.
UCLA would have been way up there. They're still going to be up there a little bit, but that hurts them a lot. That's really a huge blow.
Yeah, that is a huge blow to them, but I think they'll make it through. They'll definitely
To
make
what?
it through.
Make it through to what?
Make it through as far as they can go, whether they're going to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, or the Final Four. I mean, I think they'll make it all the way through, even without them.
Oh, wow. Let's write that down and let's see if that happens.
All right. I'm going to write it down in my head.
I got it right here. I got a pen and I got a piece of paper.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you. Let's move on to what is going on with Tucker Carlson and the House GOP investigation and them believing or not believing in the fraud with the election. Let's start with Cousin Todd. What's going on with that, Cousin Todd?
Well, what's going on is Fox News are tricking their viewers. Now, they knew there was no election fraud because they said so. And in emails, you can see Tucker Carlson saying things like he's sick of Donald Trump. When is this farce going to end? Things like that. And he didn't believe any of that stuff, nor did, I can't remember his cohorts' names, but they consistently had emails with each other saying this was all a ruse. But they would get on TV and tell their listeners like Stephen and Keith, oh, there was fraud in the election. And they would get these people on there to continue this conspiracy theory, even though they didn't believe it for a minute. And so now they're being sued. And the president of Fox News said he knew better, but it was about money. So now they're being sued and they'll have to pay up. But just the fact that they would trick their audience because they knew their audience was gullible enough to believe it. And matter of fact, Tucker Carlson said something like their viewers are good people and they shouldn't have to go through this. He was talking about some of the lies and conspiracy theories they were spreading, but yet he would get right on TV and continue to spread them. So this is why they're being sued, because it's one thing not to know, like Stephen and Keith, not to know that you're spreading lies and propaganda. It's another thing when you know it and you talk about how much you know it to your
listeners,
cohorts. No, not to their listeners. Their listeners, they were lying to them. But in the office and through emails, they were texting each other saying how ridiculous this was and how Tucker Carlson hates Donald Trump passionately. That's a quote. He hates him. And so to then get on TV and spread this nonsense is, I'm trying to think of a good word for it. It's just disastrous. Good. And to trick the listeners like that, his viewers, and he has millions, and he knew better. So what do you say about a person like that? You knew better, but you did it anyway for the money, because their ratings had gone down when there were two hosts that said the truth about the election, and one of them was fired. And Tucker Carlson said, look, let's get rid of them for telling the truth, which he knew the truth, but don't tell the truth because their viewership went down. And this is according to Rupert Murdoch. And so they perpetuated the lie to get their ratings back up. And he said, it's not about Republican or Democrat, it's about money. How do you like that?
So
does that shock you, Stephen and Keith?
Yeah, does that shock you, Stephen and Keith?
Are you upset by it? Are you shocked by it? How do you feel about that?
No, I'm shocked because what Stacey asked was about Tucker Carlson. Now, I thought that he's showing these videos and you deny what you see on the video. What you actually see with surprised. And so here's what I saw. I saw on the videos on his show, he showed what is that big guy? Steven knows his name. That big white guy with the red cap. You know,
What
the
about
MAGA
him?
cap.
Okay,
And
what
he's
They
about him?
call they call him the QAnon something.
Okay, what about him? Let's get to it.
He's a troublemaker. And not only that, I would like to know what Todd thinks of that black police officer, the black Capitol officer, who was fired and his pension taken away because he wore a MAGA hat and he was trying to escort people out of the building because of the riot. So-called
Okay, but
riot.
what does that have to do with what Todd said you thought about that? And Carlson said he hates Trump.
I'll tell you what it has to do with it, Stacey. They learned from the Tea Partiers years ago when you were working on Capitol Hill. There was a thing called the Tea Partiers. And they taught these people, don't answer the question, just talk and keep talking. And don't stop talking. No matter what. Don't stop talking. Talk over them and talk.
Just
So
like you're doing
well.
right now. Just like you're doing right now, Keith.
I studied those Tea Partiers.
Okay, go ahead, Keith. And then I got to get Steve, and then I'm going to bring Nas in. Go ahead, Keith.
I'll answer the question. I don't know whether he really hates him or not, and I don't care. There's the answer right there. How's that? I don't care whether
that was not in your echo chamber.
That was a small piece to what I said. Was he knew he was lying to you?
You're talking over me right now.
I don't understand the question, Stacey.
So the question is,
how do you feel
I think of Tucker
that
Carlson?
being lied to?
I don't want to know how he feels.
No, we don't. No, that's not the question, Todd. I'm talking to Stacey, not Todd.
Yeah.
My question.
I don't want to know feelings.
Stacey,
feelings are subjective. But I want you to look at the screen I have up here, and the screen says, Tucker Carlson said, "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights." Carlson said in a text on January 4th, 2021, as Trump supporters geared up for the violent attack on the Capitol. He said, "I truly can't wait." Carlson suggested that Trump would destroy Fox News and the conservative movement if given a chance. And he said, "I hate him passionately. What he's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that. He could easily destroy us if we play it wrong." What do you think? No, this is for Stephen.
And it's not just that. It's what does he think about Fox News lying to them constantly?
And Tucker Carlson and what he said.
In particular.
Fox News is not a source for me. I don't trust Fox News any more than I trust CNBC or CNN or Channel or NBC, CBS. I don't trust any of that. All of that is garbage. All of that is garbage. I don't trust Rupert Murdoch. I don't trust any of them. They're all on the take. I trust Tucker. I don't know what he said. I don't know what he said then. Maybe he was tired of all the Trump stuff. Maybe everything had come out yet. But everything's coming out now. And Tucker is showing on this. That's why I don't understand this election fraud stuff with Tucker. What Tucker has been showing the last couple of nights on his show is a January 6th garbage that said it was an insurrection, but it wasn't. When that guy walked around with the horns, he had 8 or 9 Capitol policemen escorting him anywhere he wanted to go. I don't know if he was on the take. I don't know if he's just a crazy guy or who he is. But he got 4 years in jail, committed no crime. There's no video. They had videos that the January 6th committee had that was nonpartisan. They never showed that this guy did not commit a crime. They took him to the chamber and let him pray for them. Have y'all seen the video? Everybody needs to watch.
Did he fill out the pass? Did he fill out the pass? Did he have a visitor's pass?
I didn't talk above anybody. But what we need to do
is the question. Did he fill out a visitor's pass?
It's so funny that the truth is out. Everything has been what we've said.
I'm not going to answer that.
But you still can't. You're still doing. You're like you get your news from The View. I don't get my news from The View. I don't get my news
Did they fill out a visitor's pass? Did they go to the gift shop and fill out the visitor's pass? Yes or no?
What are you talking about?
In order to go into the Capitol, you have to fill out a visitor's pass. Did they fill out the visitor's pass? Yes or no?
He got 4 years for being escorted through there.
You didn't answer the question. Did he fill out? Did he have a visitor's pass? Yes or no?
Shut up.
No,
Shut
don't
up.
get angry.
Mute him.
Answer the question.
Mute him.
Answer the
Mute
question.
him.
Don't get angry. It's a simple
Mute him.
question.
Shut
I
him
know.
up so I can talk. He don't want
Ask
me to
him.
talk.
Just ask him the
He
question.
don't want me to talk. Shut him up, Stacy. Shut him up.
Why are you getting angry?
Why are you pissed off, Stacy? Shut him up.
She can't mute me, man. Answer the question. Answer the question.
They could have arrested him, but they didn't. So he wasn't committing a crime.
Did he fill out a visitor's pass?
You're an a-hole, and then you're a communist.
Why won't he answer the question?
We win every turn, and we've been right for the last 2 or 3 years.
He's having a meltdown early this time.
And we're not putting up with it anymore. That man needs to be let out of jail today. He committed no crime.
All right, let me get
Stacy.
I'm not taking it from you.
A very simple question. He never answered the question.
Stacy, let somebody. What is the question?
Why is he angry? Answer the question. Did he fill out a visitor's pass?
And Stacy won't shut you the hell up.
Just answer the question.
Mike.
Don't get angry. Answer the question. Answer the question. You're making a fool out of yourself, Stephen. It's a very simple question. Did he have a visitor's pass?
My word out, and you won't let me. And she won't cut your mic. But she'll cut my mic.
Stacy, he's going off. I asked a very simple question. Did he have a visitor's pass?
But she won't cut yours. No, I was talking.
You can have a temper tantrum.
When I talk, or Stacy, you need to mute him.
I did.
Why are you still talking? Why are you still talking?
Stephen, if you're done making a fool out of yourself, the question is very simple. Very simple.
You're just a punk.
Look, don't again. You can call me names all you want. I asked a very simple question. Did he have a visitor's pass? Did he have a visitor's pass? Yes or no? That's a very simple question. You did all that ranting. I asked him a very simple question. Did he have a visitor's pass?
I am taking my point that has nothing to do with you or your question. I'm not answering Todd's question.
Stacey, can I just say can I make one comment? Can I make one comment once he's done throwing his temper tantrum?
You're just rude.
Are you done? Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead. Speak your dialogue. Don't mute me when you talk.
To all our viewers, you saw just what happened, right? Yeah, when people don't have an argument,
all of our viewers, you saw what happened.
When people can't articulate an argument, they get angry. I asked you a very simple question. You can see who's calm.
And Tucker Carlson.
Stephen, you're still making a fool out of yourself. I'm calm. I asked you a very simple question, and you can't answer it.
Did he need to sign a book when they let him in and guided him around? They didn't arrest him. You know why? Because
he did not have a visitor's pass. He was breaking the law. Okay? If I go to the Capitol, I have to go to the gift shop, and I have to get a visitor's pass. I have to sign up like everybody else in order to get access to that space. Very simple. He was breaking the law.
Taking him wherever he wants to go, then he's not breaking any law.
Stephen, the more you talk, the worse you look, man.
I don't care. He doesn't need to sign in.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Stephen. You just proved my point.
Thank you. Yeah, you proved what an asshole is. Good for you.
All right.
Get mad. Call names. You just still look like an idiot, man.
All right.
I'm not going to talk over you.
I'll just make 2 points real quick.
I'm going to talk over Nas, but I won't talk over Aguna.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. First Grader on the call.
2 points and I'll get out of the way. The first thing is extremism. Again, when we talk about this, it's similar to a drug. At first, somebody uses a certain amount of drug that gets them to the high that they want. And then eventually their tolerance builds up to where they need more of it to get the same high. And the extremism in information and disinfo that we see out here in today's society is a huge reflection of that. So Fox, yes, they're very scared about losing their viewership, because if they won't go as extreme as their viewers want them to, their viewers will go to OAN. They'll go to Facebook groups. They'll go to YouTube. They'll find whatever it is that they crave, their particular dope, if you will. They'll find that dope. So Fox knows this, so they're going to go to extreme limits in order to try to keep that, keep that fan base. And the second thing is this: can a country exist with competing narratives? Now, I'm not talking about the normal competition of free side or, whatever you want to say about conservatives and liberals or whatever. I'm talking about the recollection of an event. And one side says, well, clearly this was a case of people who were not only helped walk around, but nobody was doing anything. It wasn't a big deal. And then the other side is saying, no, there's actually footage of these people using the bathroom in senatorial offices, taking, top secret documents. Even a laptop was stolen, I think, from Nancy Pelosi. So how does a country hit that breach if you've got these competing narratives that both sides are 10 toes down on that their side is correct and they have the proper steps of what happened? And I don't know how you fix this. That's the point that really sticks out to me on this, because no matter what, when Tucker dropped that video, these people already believed that anyway. They just got their source.
Correct.
YouTube, Facebook, and everything else. This was just a reinforcement to kind of bring them back into the Fox.
Correct.
That's the choice there. But again, how do you fix this? I don't know. You can't keep going forward with this with two different versions of what actually happened.
Well, I think there's
just this topic.
I think there's more than two different versions. I think there's three different versions. You have, the truth, you have what the GOP says, and you have what everyone else says. So there's
Stacey, I haven't said anything. I know Stephen went on his little tantrum, but this is how you fix it. You have educated debate. And I know that's a problem. I know people, fortunately for like Stephen, intelligence kind of intimidates him. But I asked a very, very simple question. Okay. No reason to get upset. No reason to throw a tantrum. Did this QAnon shaman have a visitor's pass? You have you can't walk onto a military base. You can't walk onto certain restricted areas without authorization.
I was upset because you were interfering with what I was saying. You were
here we
talking
go.
over me.
Let's get it all out. Get it all out. I'm waiting.
Do you like this? Do you want to be heard? Then I'll shut up. That's all I said. Shut up and let me finish saying what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Now go ahead. Now finish.
Are you finished? Are you finished?
You didn't give me a
I'm waiting. We're waiting. The audience is waiting for your tantrum to be over with. Okay, cool. Now, as you can see, he can't get over it. In order to debunk all these conspiracy theories, these wild, crazy, just ridiculous notions that you hear on this show, ask him to explain himself. And instead of explaining himself, he'll do exactly this. Watch what he's going to do. He's going to talk over you. Look, he's going to call names. He's going to do everything but answer the question because he has no answers. In order to break down these nonsensical arguments, ask him to explain himself. And it falls apart in his face. And the only thing he does is he throws a tantrum. Look, he's doing it again. Go ahead. So the problem.
4 years in prison.
All right.
4 years in prison.
Stacey, this is him. I'm calm. I'm talking normal.
Just stop a minute, Aguna.
Yeah.
Stop a minute, Aguna.
No, this is a great point by Aguna. So Aguna raises the question of, okay, what happens when somebody asks direct questions? Does your idea of the narrative hold up? And then we walk into this.
He asked a direct question while I was in the mid-sentence. He's
deflecting.
No,
he's deflecting.
He didn't let me finish talking.
Aguna.
He's deflecting. He's upset at the sound of my voice. Okay.
Wait, we gotta wait because Aguna, you're going just as crazy as Stephen.
I haven't even. How am I going crazy? I haven't even said anything.
Stop. Just stop for a minute.
Okay, I'll be the adult. Okay.
Thank you. Now,
Stacey. Wait. Niles wanted to come in, Todd.
All right.
I'm sorry, cousin Todd. But no, all I was going to say is people are more likely to retreat to their echo chambers than they are to really investigate why they feel or believe something. So there's the difficulty there. because these echo chambers not only exist in a way that they never have in world history, meaning somebody can go to their Facebook group amongst peers who agree with them on everything and have those discussions and feel good, drink beer while they're sitting there on Facebook all night, and then get on YouTube and do a live stream with other people who agree with them and feel good about that. And they are not going to want that disturbed. So how do you ever put this back together?
All right, so go ahead, Cousin Todd.
I wanted Aguna to finish what he was trying to say without including Stephen. Just finish what you're saying about the whole echo chamber, I guess.
No, that was not saying echo chamber.
No. Aguna was saying how his arguments fall apart. Stephen's arguments fall apart when asked.
I'm right every time.
Okay.
See, right. and so part of this, and I'll be fully accountable for this, right? I like it when Stephen talks because everyone sees the nonsense that he says. So I'm not trying to talk over him. I'm trying to help him out by trying to focus him on the point of the whole discussion. He said no one broke the law. Was he authorized to be there? The answer is no. I don't care what's on. Again, he can't help himself. He can't help himself. The bottom line is they were trespassing. They shouldn't have been there. They came in there unauthorized. They broke the law. That's why you have 1,000 accounts. You have 300 some odd convictions. All of a sudden, it's the world against these individuals that by choice went up to the Capitol, by choice trespassed, went in there, disrupted the certification of elections. All of a sudden, all of these things are going out the window, and now we can't even have a debate because instead of answering the question, Stephen in his sensitivity gets mad because somehow someone's talking over him. When that's his whole tactic is to talk over someone else, because as soon as we start deliberately and directly asking him questions about his crazy assertions and his crazy notions, his arguments fall apart and he looks like a nut.
All right,
no, they don't. You haven't beat my argument. You just said I talked over you and got mad.
I asked you, did he have a visitor's pass? Did he have a visitor's pass?
Stephen, you've got 5 seconds to make your point. Go ahead.
Honey. Yeah, you can talk about the specifics. If this man, this one individual and 100 people are still in jail, this one individual did not cause any harm. He was escorted through the entire place. And at any time, if he was breaking the law like you said he was, then they would have arrested him. But they didn't. They escorted him. And when they put him in the chamber, the most sacred place in the world, in this country, he did a prayer for the cops. And they told him, just don't break anything, don't mess anything up. And they were all friendly. So he's got 4 years in prison for being escorted. This is not my crazy thoughts. This is on the video.
So he got arrested. So he did get arrested. He's in prison.
Right. He's a political prisoner.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Stacey, let me tell you. He was put in solitary confinement for over 300 days. You know what? That breaks the man. And so he pleaded guilty.
He's such a victim for choosing to be there.
But he committed no crime. And everybody on this show.
Okay. Got you. You made your point multiple times.
Right. Everybody on this show should be upset.
Dude, what are you doing? Whoa. Just calm down.
Man, I'm calm as a cucumber. I'm just telling you the truth. And I'm
completely not.
All you do is lie.
Okay.
All you do is lie.
Okay.
All of you.
See, Stacey. So we're trying to debate, and he just goes into his juvenile.
Well, wait a minute, Guna. You have to take responsibility for sending them there.
I know his medication. His medication. That's not on me. It's on his medication.
What do you have?
He's on something.
You gotta stop. Okay, go ahead now.
Debate me. What do you want to do?
All right. So let's just get this turnover with, and I'll get out the way. So again, Aguna was asking reasonable questions. Nothing wrong with it. He was asking in a condescending way to trigger you. Yes, we all understand that. Right. But Stephen, as a good faith speaker, you can't come in and act like they didn't know what was happening on that day. January 6th, the certification of the electors. They knew that was happening during that day. You have to have that in the conversation when you're discussing.
That's true.
That's why they showed up that day.
That's true.
Second point, the idea that an overwhelmed police force, after a while, starts letting people move freely because they can't arrest everyone, and physically they cannot restrain everyone because they were overpowered at the doors, and just numbers wise, they did not get the backup that they needed to be able to do anything.
Right.
So to say, hey, they were walking around with them, that's not like that doesn't change anything about what illegal activity was initiated the moment.
That's right.
It was a setup. They could have gotten more security, but they refused it because it was a setup.
Brother, hold on. To say it was a setup means the cheese was there and the mouse still had to come to the cheese, brother. Now you can do the setup thing, conspiracy one. Let's just do this systemically and break this down. So the certification of the election, the gallows where somebody could be hung from, where people were saying where they wanted to put Mike Pence and saying to kill Mike Pence. That's a problem. This is not something that has happened in American history ever. You have
it
to
wasn't Trump supporters.
Brother.
There wasn't Trump supporters.
Conversation.
Okay.
Now, again,
Oh my God! You can't reason here. There's no way.
Y'all, you know what? The truth is coming out. Just wait. Just don't worry about it. Just wait.
What are you doing?
Truth is coming out.
Walked into that courtroom in California, and they were armed. At that moment, the law was violated, even though the guns were not loaded and they did not plan on hurting any politician in there. That's not a legal argument. You lose once you make that clear violation at the onset.
Right.
So
in other words,
he doesn't deserve 4 years because he just prayed and he just brought it. No, can I go to Area 51 tonight? Because I just want to look around.
Right.
Exactly.
So in other words, and you're gonna let me say something, or I'm gonna put y'all off. In other words, you can't go into Wawa, because that's a Philadelphia store. You can't go into Wawa and steal food, a pretzel, and walk out and say, "Oh, I'm innocent." Now, I'm not saying I'm agreeing with Nas, Agun, and Todd. I'm just saying what they're saying is the premise of the law is you cannot. No, I'm not, because I don't want Stephen and Keith to feel like I'm all on their side and everybody's against them.
It's the law. It's the law.
Nobody gets 4 years for trespassing. Nobody
gets 4 years. That's not up for you to adjudicate. That's not up to you to decide.
Nobody gets 4 years for trespassing.
Once you break the law,
you're not a judge.
You're accountable. So I got to move on because we've been almost a half hour on this. We have to move on. Todd, I want you to bring into, because you brought to me the Equal Rights Amendment and roaming the halls of Congress. Do you want to talk about what that is?
Well, equal rights is what it's been 100 years now that America was trying to get equal rights passed.
And you have a president who's Democratic. Why did you not pass it?
Because Republicans said no.
They know it's a sham.
Just out there at cinema, there's a guy down there, Mr. Manchin, and the Blue Dogs, they have their own coalition. And they're not necessarily going to vote for things just because they have a D next to the name.
Kristen Cinema.
Keith?
Yes. What is your question? I mean, I'm just sitting and listening to the whole thing, you know. You're talking about Aguna, Todd, and Nas.
Equal rights we were talking about.
Oh, my God. Here we go. The grievance. Let the grievance begin.
I'm just going to make my comment. I mean, because I wasn't able to talk. Everybody else is talking. I just want to make one comment, and I'll go on. I just said that they're worried about trespassing, Americans trespassing into our White House. That's the American people's White House.
They didn't go into the White House.
You can't go into the White House without a visitor's pass. That's just the way it is. Okay. It's not me talking. That's the rules.
About the rules, I'm going to say, yes, you're right. Trespassing is a law that shouldn't be broken. By the same token, neither should coming into our borders without permission. Just remember that. Next
right.
Time.
And you know what? And Keith, you were consistent.
That
you were.
Whatever the law is on that. Well, I don't know.
They're not going to let Nukovic into the country to play tennis but they let 1 million people through a border that haven't got their shot. It's ridiculous. We've become the dumbest country in the world. We're the
We didn't
dumbest
do
country in the
anything
world
with
now.
Djokovic.
Look at
Oh
Biden.
boy, you just
Look at
gotta
Biden.
complain.
Look
We're
at
a country of
Sarah.
whiners.
Look
A
at
country of whiners.
Buttigieg. Look at all the people
Okay,
on the
listen
left
at him
who lead
just
us. We're the
hijacking your
dumbest country
show.
in the world now.
Exactly.
That's right.
The View should be our presidential cabinet right now. The people on the View.
Why are
That's
you
how stupid the people who are running this country are right now.
Because they don't have an argument. They got to deflect. This is what they do all the time.
So I'm going to move on.
Stupidest people ever.
Why are you
The
hijacking
stupidest
Stacey's
people
show?
ever. I'll take a businessman with a big mouth over the stupidest people who ever
Todd,
lived.
this just shows you when they don't have an argument or they can't
We do
articulate
have
an
great
argument, they got to
We've won
deflect.
every argument. We got the truth on our side. All
Let me
you have
say
is
this.
lies.
Okay,
All you
Stephen,
have is
shut
lies. We got to
up.
keep manufacturing
Echo
lies.
chamber.
We
Shut
don't.
up.
We have the truth.
Shut up. You said that 10 times.
That's why
Shut
you were
up.
slaves. Keith and I, we're free. Y'all are slaves. The truth
must
will
have-
set you free. And
Stephen
take the
must have gotten
bondage
picked
off
on.
of you.
Did you get bullied?
The truth will take the bondage
Now,
off of you.
Aguna, you got
He
him
must have gotten
going.
bullied. He
You
must
got
have
him
gotten
going.
bullied
Aguna,
in
no
middle
one's
school or
talking
something.
yours,
I don't know what's
Aguna.
going on.
You got
He's
him
scared
going,
of.
Aguna, and you know it. So, okay, so I have
Does he have a visitor's pass? Did he have a
on my
visitor's pass?
screen-
I
on
got
my
4
screen,
years in jail for
according to
trespassing,
the Hill-
right?
Okay, that's about it. Stop. Please stop. According to thehill.com, as you can see, article by Brooke Migdon, House lawmakers
Triggered
clash
much?
Nope.
on
Truth.
Do you see? Wait, now this is totally disrespectful, Stacey. They have
It
no
was
respect for you.
disrespectful.
That was Keith.
Okay,
That was Stephen and
You got that
Aguna.
right.
that was
You got
okay. I'm muting myself.
TheHill.com, Brooke Migdon said House lawmakers clash on GOP effort to ban transgender women from sports. Written March 8th at 4:20 p.m. Today, the House Democrats and Republicans clashed on Wednesday, today, over federal legislation that would bar transgender women and girls nationwide from competing on female sports teams. It's a sad reflection on society that the federal government must step in to protect our nation's young women. House Committee on Education and Workforce Chairwoman, Congresswoman Virginia Fox from North Carolina said, progressivism in the lives of the spouses have devastated our public education system. Keith, do you want to comment on that?
Well, I think it's a sad commentary if anybody on this show would stand and fight for transgender men competing with women. I just don't understand that. I think you guys should be more manly than that. I would hope that Aguna and Todd and Nas would be real men and step up and say that this is wrong. You know, for a man to pretend that he's a woman or act like a woman and to join with, in a sporting event against women, that's a coward. That's a coward.
Coward's a good word, Keith. Coward, good word. Don't say bad words.
I won't.
All right,
but that's a
Cousin
coward.
Todd.
That's a
You're
coward.
consistent.
This issue, I really don't want to comment on because it is so minuscule, but Republicans have blown it up, just like Fox News lied and perpetuate lies. This is what Republicans are doing, pretending that this is such a major issue all across our land.
I don't care. I understand what Todd's saying. It's not that many, but I don't want it to be just one. Just like when it was COVID, he didn't want one person to die from COVID. I understand that, but the whole world doesn't shut down for that. But no, I don't think a woman.
No,
I like MMA. I like boxing. I like things like, and you know what? Even in golf, you don't see women trying to compete with men. So it shouldn't happen. And these women that I'm a feminist and I'm all for women and all for their rights. And these women are losing their rights when they lose college money. They lose college. They can't go to college on a full scholarship because a man takes it from them. Anything that happens to hurt women, I don't like. And that hurts. Men are taking that away. And another thing is, Stacey, I don't like. And that hurts. Men are taking that away. And another thing is, Stacey, that's really, really the most important is the trans children is up through the roof. I don't know if it's 400% higher, 500. Look it up. It's way up right now because it's pushed so hard right now. It's in
Why should
vogue
we
for
look that
children.
up?
It's in vogue for children to be transgender because it's like it's an acceptance. It's cool. And these young kids they take meds, take drugs, and they screw their entire bodies up.
How do you know that?
They call it bottom
How
surgery.
do you know
they call
that?
it pop surgery because I'll listen. They got their boobs removed.
Who'd you
They got
listen to?
their female organs or their male organs.
Why
This
are
is
you
what they're
so
doing to our
interested?
kids, Todd.
Why
Todd,
are you so
for that?
interested?
Because these little kids that are coming up now right now that is through the roof, and it's mostly
Why
little
are you
girls.
so interested?
What?
Why are you so interested in
Because
that?
Stop talking over him. Stop talking over
I
him.
don't want our kids destroyed by people who think like you, that think
Jesus.
it's okay to be transgender for little children, and then maybe these little children can grow up and they can play the sports and all that. Is what I'm saying is this is what's happening in our country now, and it's a issue that's being pushed because these little girls, little boys
Okay,
wouldn't
thank
think
you.
on their own. But they're
Thank
taught
you.
that, oh, I'm a girl and I'm 8 years old and I can make my decisions and I can take drugs and I can do this stuff.
Shut up, man. Shut up.
Okay, thank you,
Look,
Stephen.
stop telling the truth. I get you, man.
Go ahead, Nas.
This is why we gotta stop fentanyl from coming in the country.
Right.
So this show tonight is kind of a microcosm of conversation in this country.
That's the
where-
point, Nas. That's the point of the show.
Indeed. Where some people are invested in the conversation and one person just decides they're just going to throw trash at the wall and scream and holler. And we're supposed to act as if we're all equal participants in a conversation. When it's like, no, one person is acting uncivilized.
Answer what I said. Well, why don't you talk about what I said instead of saying I was uncivilized?
Shut up.
What?
I'm not
Shut
exchanging
up.
with you tonight.
Shut up.
I'm not exchanging with you tonight, man. You lost your dignity tonight.
What do you have? What do you have? What can you say? Go ahead.
Steven, man. Jesus Christ.
My time. Reclaiming my time like Maxine. So when we talk about this topic, you notice he said, well, the combat sports and the scholarship. Well, first of all, combat sports aren't in high schools. It's not a part of a curriculum.
No kidding. I know.
I know. High school. So to include that shows that either you're a dishonest
It's making a point. It's making a point.
Steven, Jesus Christ. We know.
Calling somebody you know, Laguna.
Shut up.
Stop being a moron, man.
So here's the thing. Outside of combat sports, there's nothing wrong with people competing against each other. If you have one transgender in a state and they're on the golf team at some high school, that is not ruining anybody else's chances for going to school or any of this other nonsense they're trying to throw up there when they want to justify their bigotry. He said, there's been a 400% increase in these people. You know what they said about people who were gay back in the day? They said, oh, these people came out of nowhere. No, you forced people to stay in the shadows. They couldn't come out of the closet because of how vicious the society was against them. So then when they actually fight enough to get enough freedom to be acknowledged, then it looks like they popped out of nowhere when no, they were here the whole time. They've been here since humanity has been here. And my last point on this is, when I was a freshman in high school, the rival school had this point guard who would, let's just say, he ended up having a cup of coffee in the NBA. He was a really good player. And my freshman year, I went to my dad and tried to transfer to another school because I was like, hell, let me get the hell out of this conference and go to this other little private school conference so I can go out there and average, more points and do whatever and not have to play against that guy. Dad said, hell no. You're not going to run from competition. You're going to face it, get better, and deal with either winning or losing. That's a part of the game. That's a part of what this sports is.
Well, that's
You
a
didn't
part
have
of what
a vagina. You didn't have a vagina, Nas.
This idea that if some women have to compete against somebody who's transgender, that, they're not going to get a scholarship. You know how many schools there are in this country? You know how many scholarships there are in this country? If you at a track meet and a transgender person gets first and your daughter gets second, and all the colleges say, oh, I can't sign her. She lost to that transgender person. Every college is going to say that. No, they're still going to go to college. They're still going to fulfill all their athletic achievements. This is not stopping anything. This is you justifying bigotry because you've been listening to that long enough that they just basically put their hand.
It stopped them from getting what they wanted there.
Name one person.
The argument.
Everything you say, we hear repeated on right-wing media. We know it before you say it.
Thank you, Nas.
Argument before you start, you moron.
Independent.
Aguna. And don't start the fire. Please.
I didn't know.
I'm not. But at this point, it's just the tone of my voice that's triggering. But at the end of the day, you know, kids compete. My son plays in a flag football league. Has girls on the team. You know, so there are enough sports out here. I think Nas makes a good point as far as, are we looking for a fire? Are we just whining about grievance politics, or is this really a problem? This is a distraction. At the end of the day, if there's a certain school district where exceptions have to be made, let them decide that. Government should stay out of it. This is not an issue. It shouldn't be an issue that we're debating. And no one's sitting here defending, you know, this or defending that when we're saying it's so minute of an issue. Let kids play together. Kids at all the way through middle school, they have girls on the football team. There's all kind of exceptions to the rules where kids of different genders play together in these sports. And so to make this an issue and try to make it so controversial that we, the largest country in the world, the greatest country in the world, have to sit down and actually debate about this and actually sit down and have these conversations is ridiculous.
I don't have these conversations, which is why I said I don't want to comment on it, because I know how ridiculous and petty it is. And it's used as a wedge issue for small-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you are
already unsaid. I didn't want to have the last word where one person brought up manhood and then the other person brought up a whole bunch of nonsense that they read off the Daily Wire. Grow up.
Or the dark web.
The problem is,
let's not talk about the kids that are being mutilated. Let's not talk about children.
Name one kid.
I need to
name one. Name one, Stephen.
Name one. That's the stupidest thing you ever said.
See? Got him.
You got me. You got me. I can't name a child.
So let's do this. So there's a right-wing echo chamber called Libs of TikTok, where they show ridiculous things that they find liberals do. They kind of coerce and edit these videos to get right-wingers to think crazy things about young folks. And one of them, they did this where they was talking about mutilation. And they got these people ramped up. They started calling them bomb threats to that hospital. Mm-hmm. So there was an investigation, year-long investigation, into whether what these people were claiming was actually happening to these kids. And
Stacey, I'll send you all the information that's happening to these kids, Stacey. We can show it next week.
Steven.
Yeah, I know you don't want to hear that.
I'll show you, Stacey. I'll send it to you.
Steven, go ahead, Nas.
He's on a roll tonight.
No, I'll show it to you, Stacey.
Okay.
There's stuff that's happening to
You
kids.
said that already. Shut up. Let him finish.
Why does he keep doing that?
I don't know.
This hospital in St. Louis was vindicated. The people had to not only withdraw all of these different, because they crashed their message board, their server, and everything else, sending in threats, and also trying to keep their servers busy because they felt like kids were being harassed. So, mutilated and all this other stuff that they're accusing them of. So after
it's not happening.
And this hospital, which is still operating now because they've proven that they didn't do any of the things they're being accused of, these same people say nothing. They don't.
So it's not happening. It's not happening anywhere, Nas. It's not happening. These children are not being mutilated, right? This doesn't happen, Nas. Is this what you're telling me?
You keep saying the same thing. Shut up, Steven.
No, I want to know. He's saying it didn't happen at this hospital.
You already said it. Don't keep repeating. Did it happen? Did it happen? Did it happen? Did it happen?
Did it? Does it happen? No, it doesn't happen, Todd. Does it happen, Todd? No. So kids are not being mutilated, okay? I'll show you, Stacey.
No. So
okay, he said no.
So again, when you have these disinfo systems that are pumping this information into these morons, and they wake up in the morning, roll over, grab their phone, and they pull up Libs of TikTok, and they get the newest thing that they're supposed to be outraged about, that's how we get from mad about Dr. Seuss, mad about the gas stove.
Yeah, you've been wrong about everything for years.
This is how they treat their minds. Those people
we've been proven right.
This is all Aguna's fault, Todd. Don't look at Steven. Look at Aguna.
Been proven right.
Aguna got him running.
Y'all can't even admit when you're wrong.
Put the blame where it belongs.
No,
And it belongs on
I have to go get my booster shot.
Hey,
I'll be right back. I have to go get my booster shot.
I take full responsibility. I'll take full responsibility, but it makes for a great show.
No,
that was Aguna talking about. Did he have a ticket?
But let
Did he
me
have a
say
ticket?
this. Okay, let me say this.
From the gift shop. Did he go to the gift shop?
Shut up, Steven.
Which were
My-
legitimate questions considered what
Yet you couldn't answer it.
I have
It
friends
doesn't matter.
Shut up. I have friends
Shut
that
up,
watch this show. And
Shut up.
this is what they
Stacey
said.
could have kicked you off the show tonight. Like your
Yeah,
behavior
she should have.
was
She
inadequate.
should have.
Y'all can't argue the point. You can't
have-
argue anything I've said.
I have friends that watch this show.
You can't argue anything I've
Shut
said.
up. Why can't he
I've
shut
told
up?
the truth.
Anyway, and these friends are sophisticated. And they said that one guy, I don't know what his name is. But
It's written right on the thing.
and
How
he
do they not know
doesn't-
my name? They can't read. You have
They
sophisticated friends you can't read.
When there are people
ahead.
like you on the screen, they ignore you. So they said, there's one guy, he just won't stop. And they said, and I can't hear anything because he won't stop talking. So I turned the show off. So because of Steven, you're losing viewers.
Debate
and so
me.
I said, wait a minute, you turned the show off? I can't believe
Debate
it.
me.
And they said, that's not the first time. It's
Debate me.
that white guy, and there's another black guy that won't stop going after him. And they can't watch this show. And that was
Look, I apologize to the viewers, but they have to see this. They have to understand that this is what they're dealing with.
Aguna, what happens is when I'm talking, don't ask me questions.
Oh my
Let me
gosh,
finish
here we
what I'm
go.
doing. That's all.
And so
Just
these
simply
six
be a
people-
little courteous.
You don't want a
I
debate,
know.
Steven. You don't want a debate.
I want a debate. You don't.
Okay.
See?
I'm trying.
off the show. His
Okay.
behavior was ridiculous.
All right. So I've got to move on. I'm going to move on to Liz Cheney. Look at this article. Let me make sure I'm sharing it with you. All right, there it is. TheHill.com, Liz Cheney on potential House GOP-led January 6 probes. Bring it on. This was written by Julia Mueller today at 2 p.m. So former rep Liz Cheney, I wish I can get this ad out of here. Boy, these ads are really killing me.
Just hit
Can't
X.
get these ads off the
That's
screen.
okay. Just finish because
I can't read it because the ad is there, Todd.
okay.
I was reading it.
We're running out of time because of Steven and Aguna.
Because of Aguna.
You're just including me in there to make them feel better, but okay, I'll take it.
No, just let me
Mainly
talk.
because of
Just let me
Steven.
talk. That's all I ask. Don't cut me
not
off.
right now. Not right now.
Oh no, I don't want to talk right now. I mean in general.
You've
So
talked enough, buddy. You've talked
former
way
rep Liz
enough.
Cheney,
All right, buddy.
former rep Liz Cheney, Republican from Wyoming, who was on the House Select Committee that probed the January 6, 2020 riot at the U.S. Capitol, weighed in on and welcomed potential plans by the House Republicans to investigate January 6 for themselves now that they control the lower chamber. Right? So it says, but who's going to do it is, his name is Ledbetter, or does anybody know his name? I'm looking for it right now. Anyway, let's start with Keith. Now that the Republicans control the lower chamber, they want to investigate the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Is that a great way to spend U.S. taxpayers' dollars?
Yes.
Let me answer it this way. Did you ask that question when the Democrats initiated this whole thing?
I did.
She didn't.
And what was the
I
answer?
did.
What, gentlemen?
No, I don't want
Talk
them
about
wasting
this.
money on that. I'd rather them spend money on things that the basic American person like me, who goes to work and comes home every day and goes to the supermarket, would like our tax dollars spent on. Are you finished
So
your point, Keith?
Yeah, well, I'm just I'm using what Nas said. I'm piggybacking on what Nas said. Nas said that basically, when we should have intelligent conversation. So I think that when you've been accused of something for 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's it makes sense to be able to have a response. So the Republicans are giving a defense against what the Democrats did to Donald Trump and
But
everybody.
they had an opportunity when
And I
the
think that is very important that we be able to do that.
And that's the point, Todd. And he's not answering
Go
that
ahead,
part of
Aguna.
it.
Go ahead, Aguna.
So yeah, I agree. It's good to have educated debate, but when you have the opportunity to do so and you turned it down because you didn't really want the debate, and you felt that you didn't have full control over it, even though it's supposed to be bipartisan, now all of a sudden you want to relitigate years later and investigate the investigation when you had an opportunity to be part of that. And you regretted not being part of that because Donald Trump was angry that he didn't have representation on the original. So this is gonna come back and look bad. It's just gonna, again, you're drawing it out. And when you're going into the next election cycle and you're relitigating things from 2 previous elections, I mean, we're not talking about 2 years. We're talking about it's going to go on 4 years ago that you're going to bring this up again, and it's going to backfire again. Instead of talking about economy, instead of talking about the things that actually could move a platform if you had one, you're going to talk about things in grievance. And again, you turn into a nation of whiners. You see it on this show. People just want to whine about talking and all this other stuff versus answering the question, having the debate. That's going to play out in Congress.
Well, you didn't want to. This 2 years ago. Why didn't you say that with the Democrats when they had total control?
I just said they had an opportunity to participate on that panel. They had an opportunity to defend Trump or whatever they wanted to do. They had an opportunity. They chose not to. Now they're going to do it again, and it's going to be theatrical. You already had the first shot across the bow. To rebut this at this point in this election cycle is just a waste of time. And I'm speaking from the perspective of the Republicans have the momentum around other issues. And if they use their power in Congress right now to focus on grievances, Hunter Biden's laptop, all this other stuff that, 4 or 5 years ago, it's going to become like Benghazi. People are going to get tired of it. And it's just going to, the 24-hour news cycle, it's just going to look like they're a bunch of whiners. And I guess that's what they want.
So, Cousin Todd, did you talk on this?
no,
American
but
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
but I'm quick. I get to my point, and they don't take hints from me. But I get to the point and I move.
So you're referring to Stephen specifically then when you say that?
So, but Keith moves too. Keith won't answer the question. He'll just come up with something and then he'll move.
I said you were talking about Stephen specifically.
I didn't answer because I didn't want to shame Aguna. Now, let me say this. This is a waste of taxpayer money. Like I said, they had the opportunity.
I always talk about gas prices and how much groceries cost because, when it comes down to it, we're all going to eat something at home. We all have to go to the supermarket, each and every one of us, all of our viewers. We all have to get in some sort of transportation, which usually has used some gas. We all have to do this. That's just.
But I think that's a good point, though. What's going to be the outcome of this? No one's going to go to jail. It's going back into the echo chamber. You're fulfilling grievances from McCarthy trying to get his, speakership, and you're not going to move the needle from a voter perspective because the people who are going to vote for you already have and already will. So you're not going to convince anybody else who's focused on other issues that this is important. So it is a waste of time.
But you didn't say that. You didn't say it was a waste of time when they were doing that.
Let me get Nas in here.
Okay.
Like I said, again, it's 2 years ago. It's 2 years later.
That's all right.
That's not a point.
No, that's
Todd, you weren't finished.
I just wanted to say.
I feel you, Steve. I'm with you.
Right. They'll see. They can't hide.
I wanted to say that in the beginning, there was an insurrection regardless because, and Keith knows this because I asked Keith right after January 6th, because I was trapping him. Keith, what do you think about them breaking into the Capitol? What do you think about that? He said they shouldn't have done that. This is what Keith said. And Keith, don't forget, we have a clip of you saying that right after the 6th. And it's easy to come up with it. If anybody wants to Google that, the show was the show right after January 6th. And Keith said they should not have done that. That was wrong. That's because he saw them breaking the doors down, busting the windows out. Keith himself said they should not have done that. Now, that's breaking and entering, Stephen. So when you say, oh, they were escorting him around, that doesn't matter. And it's awfully
that guy didn't break him. No,
how Stephen and Keith, I talk about Eric Gardner, how they put him in a chokehold and killed him. And Stephen Keith said he broke the law. You're not supposed to sell loose cigarettes. I didn't
say that.
I talked about
all
the killings.
I said the cops screwed up. You're a liar. You're a liar,
I
Todd.
talked about, okay, now you said it. You already said it. You don't have to
say
it 12 times. You said, you're a liar. Okay, I got it. So now
you're triggering him.
We talked about every act that was illegal that a person did. And I said, well, if you think about it, people do these illegal acts, but they shouldn't be killed for it.
No, he shouldn't have been killed.
But if you do the crime, and remember the man's name who was, I told you they were stalking him and chasing him in a truck, and they shot him with a shotgun. And Stephen said, well, he should have done what he was told. They told him to get down. You don't ask any questions. You get on the ground. That's Stephen.
I'll say it today. I'll double down. I'll triple down. I'll quadruple down. When people with guns tell you what to do, you do what they say.
Well, when people have guns, we can't afford to do that, white boy, because none of us would be here. So anyway, you do the crime, you do the time. So he committed a crime.
Talking.
So you have to do the time. The judge said you committed a crime, and the judge gave him 4 years. Period. End of story. The judge was not black. The judge was white. And the judge said you broke the law and you get 4 years. That's it. So if you don't like that, take it up with the judge.
Okay, thank you. Whew, we're out of time.
Well,
Let's start.
No, I didn't get to talk, Stacy.
Okay,
I didn't get to say anything.
You do it during the round table.
I didn't get to talk.
Well, you went off all shows.
The bipartisan committee is not bipartisan. And the other side never got to present their case.
Hunter Biden's laptop.
They didn't present their case. They didn't want to. They begged them to come and present their case.
They weren't allowed. They had to be approved by
Keith. Go ahead, Keith.
Well,
I didn't get to say.
I was just going to make a comment. I'm sure, Todd, I'm sure that if Stephen called you black boy, you wouldn't like it. So I just want to make that comment.
I did call him black boy because he called me white boy. I give back what he gives to me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. All right.
All right. Let's start our round.
It's like second grade class.
No, he called me white boy.
This was ridiculous. But you know what?
Boy.
It was all Aguna's fault.
This is all my fault. I'm going to say,
you know better. You know better, Aguna, and you started off early with this. This is all your fault.
Stacey, just mental health is real. If we don't do something about it, as you can see on this show, it's going to take this country to hell and back.
So let's start with our round table. We'll start with Keith and Stephen, then Nas, Aguna, and Cousin Todd. And Stephen, you can address the things you have to address. Go ahead.
Okay. What is your question, Stacey, or do you want me to just?
I said I was giving you an opportunity to address the things you didn't address.
Oh, okay.
During your round table.
Well, let me just say that all the things that were said that finally got through. I mean, it was hard to get anything in, but I want to say that the insurrection, this whole aspect of it. If you cannot believe your eyes and look at the video, if you will not look at the video, I'm talking to the people out there, the audience. Because if they look at the video, they'll see the truth in the video. And it does contradict a lot of what people were doing, the January 6th committee, as well as the people on this show, Aguna, Nas, and Todd, the things that they are saying, it contradicts. So just look at the video and you'll see what actually happened. As to breaking in to the, or trespassing, that is illegal. I agree with Todd on that. It is illegal, And I do ask the question, however, the people who were arrested, why haven't they come to trial for that? They haven't come to trial. People that are in prison, they're in jail right now.
They're in jail. They haven't been charged.
Been 4 years almost.
They have been charged.
They have not been charged.
Where have you been?
So
They have not been charged.
They're just making stuff up. They're making
We're
stuff
not
up.
making stuff up. You are so uninformed.
Wait, if you say he hasn't been charged, how did you just say he got 4 years in jail?
We're not talking about him. We're talking about 100 other people who have not been charged yet. That guy's in prison because he pleaded to a deal.
Oh my gosh, man!
There's
Okay,
100 people that haven't
Keith.
been charged yet.
Thank you, Keith. All right, go ahead,
Jesus
Stephen.
Christ.
There's 100 people in the Washington jail that haven't been charged yet that are not getting their constitutional rights because they were listed
It's the
as
District of
terrorists.
Columbia. There's no representation.
Please shut up. They were listed as terrorists because
We
they are
listen to
white,
this nonsense
they're
all
white
show.
Christian Trump supporters.
No, they're not.
You said they weren't Trump
They're
supporters.
not Trump supporters.
Can I
You
talk?
said
You just told us that. You said they weren't Trump supporters.
The bipartisan committee that went after the January 6 people and did their investigation had to be approved by Nancy Pelosi. There was just because it's bipartisan doesn't mean that anybody on my side represented. Nobody got to do anything. But now that
who's your side? Who's your side?
McCarthy let the tapes out and Tucker
What side are you on?
showed them. Tucker Carlson, just watch the tapes, Keith. They don't want to watch it. These people aren't stupid.
He's on Russia's
They know what
side.
the truth is. They just want to tell everybody that we're lying and we don't know what we're talking about. Watch the damn Tucker Carlson show for the last 2 days and then come talk to me.
Oh
y'all
my God.
are like useless idiots.
Okay, there goes the name calling, and he's
you
done.
have your own side, and you're
There
on
goes the name calling.
manifesto side, but you're not on the American side. All we're saying is that then what's going to come of this is a lot of people are going to go down because all the truth is coming out now. They can't hide it any longer. And Aguna and
He's going to go back to his basement.
don't want any of this information out.
How would you give it to somebody on the far extreme of one side, meaning Tucker Carlson, and the right, as if you were trying to present something that was objective? So that lets you know right there we're dealing with propaganda. Now, the sad part about this is Cheney not only has a big bankroll to fight things like this, but she's had access to those tapes for much longer, and she's going to present a compelling argument, and this is going to blow away in the wind. And sadly, I think Americans have a really short memory. So the further we get away from January 6th, the more you can distort the story and tell them, no, this is actually what happened, and then they're willing to believe it. So, this is some sad, raggedy politics, but you do have to understand that this is a party that's in transition. This is a party that's getting really old. They're not drawing many young people in. So they kind of have to double down on what they have, which is ignorant and crazy. And look, ignorant and crazy votes. So, hey, they're going to pick those votes up. That's the sad part about all this. Now, it leads to a lesser life for all of us eventually, because at a certain point, when you're negotiating with a madman, you still end up in a bad place. Even with bipartisan consensus, you're going to end up in a bad place. So just listening to Stephen and Keith tonight, just their inability to remember, their inability to understand or to use logic to figure out, hey, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Just their inability to do those things. The fact that they represent a lot of dumb Americans who are sadly mistaken about what's going to happen. And we're going to destroy. No, you're not going to destroy anything.
So, excuse me.
No. You let him go. I had to listen to that nonsense. Come on now.
Well, wait, I wanted to ask you something else real quick. 2 things, Nas. One, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims who were killed going south of the border to get cosmetic surgery. A young lady came from South Carolina with 3 friends, 2 family members, I believe. And 2 of the men, they were all kidnapped and 2 of them were killed. How do you think that the United States government found out so quickly that they were kidnapped and they were able to assist them? if not the government, someone else was able to assist them so fast?
Because the Mexican government, like all other governments, is going to be forthcoming with information like that. Because especially poor countries depend on tourism, and something like this, they want to resolve this as best they can.
Yeah, but they said that the government is implicit with the cartels.
Yeah,
complicit with the cartels.
Stacey, hold on a second. Now, they say the government is complicit with cartels. Who is they? Second thing, there's still a functional government like any other that have their problems. And yes, there's going to be some situations to where, those cartels are going to commit violence and the Mexican government tries to stop them. And sometimes it's not going to work. But that doesn't mean that we try to turn this into this, banana republic stereotype where we say, oh, well, these people are corrupt. Coming from the most corrupt country on this earth, I don't think we have the right to justify any judgment on anybody else how they do their business. Sad, tragic thing that happened. And I'll get out the way because the thing I really wanted to hit on was there's no nation on this earth where you can try to disrupt the nonviolent change of power and not have an investigation. Like to even question that and say, well, how much is it going to cost? No. Power is more important than money. And if a country cannot have a nonviolent exchange of power, after a while it goes out of the business of being a country. So that was so important that, yes, you had to spend the tax dollars on it. And if the Republicans are saying, hey, we didn't get a fair shake on this, we want to do our own investigation, I say you dole out the tax dollars for that too, because that is important if there was some foul play there. The only problem is we know this is a political stunt and there was no foul play there.
Okay, thank you.
This is about people who legitimately didn't want to see their man lose and still scream stop the steal to this day, even though they lost another popular election.
Okay, thank you. Aguna.
Yeah, $250 million off a lie. So I just want to talk to the viewers. I mean, what you see on this show tonight is reflective, like Niles was saying, of America. But at the core of what you see is fear. You hear a lot of fear on this show. And a fear of debate, fear of different perspectives, fear of people who are calling you and holding you accountable for thinking what you're thinking. And the problem on this show, you have a couple of things. You have demographics, clearly, you have class, you have a lot of different things, but there's part of America that feels left behind and feels unheard. And on one side, you have a party that they just can't stand. The Democrats represent everything that they just distaste. It's liberal, it's progressive, it's multicultural, multiracial. It's just something that represents a new America that they don't feel a part of. And on the other side, you have a right wing, who really doesn't care about them. It's just, they just want their money. They want their vote. They want the power that they can give to them. And it plays out on this show so theatrically. A lot of times it's loud, but it's important for you to hear the Keiths, the Stevens of the world, because that's what you're dealing with, right? Even Nas, myself, Todd, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different perspectives, but there's really one side. And if you listen to the arguments, you listen to the facts that are being stated, and you listen to how we engage each other, that is really afraid of the truth. So afraid that they've convinced themselves that they are saying the truth. And I'll let the audience be the judge of that.
Thank you. Cousin Todd.
Just don't want to be cut off.
Okay. Stephen is talking about
just don't want to be cut off. Want to finish what you're saying. I want to hear everything you say, Todd. I don't want to talk over you.
Me. You're doing it.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk over you like you did.
You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it.
Please talk.
You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it.
No.
You're doing it. So anyway, Stephen said, watch the Tucker Carlson show. But I just said that Tucker Carlson is a con artist and a liar because he was perpetuating this propaganda. He was perpetuating lies, and he knew he was lying because there's emails to prove that he knew he was lying. And so then for you to turn around and say, watch Tucker Carlson, as if Tucker Carlson is going to tell you the truth. Tucker Carlson went to court because he had lied before and he was being sued. And so the judge said, You can't expect Tucker Carlson to tell the truth. Tucker Carlson is found not guilty because he's a liar. And that's what he does for entertainment. He's not a news person. He's a con artist and a liar. And he's there to make money. That's what he's doing. So when you say, watch Tucker Carlson, no, I don't want to watch Tucker Carlson lie to people like you. And he said, our viewers are nice people, but he lies to you. And you continue to watch him. That tells me something about you. Now,
it's a video, not his word. He doesn't lie. He shows videos.
He's cherry picking
those
videos just for you and Keith because he knows how dumb you are. He knows this. And so the ratings went down.
Stephen.
Because they told the
all
truth.
Of it.
Stephen.
He's not going to show you all of it, dumb.
Exactly. He didn't show the whole thing. He just showed you what you wanted to see.
Anyway, my point was this man knows his audience. And so he feeds them. He knows how dumb and ignorant they are. People with intelligence recognize, hey, you're not telling the truth. And so they stop watching you. So the people that were on the show, some people who were on Fox News told the truth. He wanted them fired. And so the ratings went down. Their ratings went down. So Tucker Carlson started lying again, and his ratings went up. So what do you expect him to do? He's going to lie to you to get you angry and upset. And that's how he keeps you hooked.
But Todd, the people that he's lying to, they don't care. They want to be lied to because it confirms what they already believe. So he's just playing to the cheap seat.
Because that's going to invite Keith and Stephen into the conversation, and we're out of time. And
I really believe that Keith and Stephen.
Where did he lie? Where did Tucker lie?
See that? I think Stephen and Keith, they don't know that they're being lied to.
I disagree. They know, they just don't care. I mean, I think some people want to believe the lie.
Todd
they want to believe the lie.
The whole thing again, and we're out of time. So I'm going to just start to leave. To our first responders in our communities, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To our women and men, because it is International Women's Day today. To our women and men of the U.S. military, for all that you do in sacrificing your lives so that we are free to say whatever we choose to say on the show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna,
yes,
the Nigerian moderate Republican.
Mental health is real, audience. Mental health is real.
Keith, the constitutional conservative. Stephen, the independent thinker, and he left thanks to you, thanks to Aguna, Naz, and Todd.
Oh my God, he got put in time out, man.
He left 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
and my cousin Todd.
Oh my God, I love everybody because of you, Todd. You call me, I'll call you Black Boy Todd.
Thank you, Naz, for joining and contributing. We really appreciate that. We'll see you next week. Good night. I'm Stacey Johnson.
Let me just say, I was talking about my friends listening to the show, and they were talking about Keith and Stephen. I mean, Aguna and Stephen, and they weren't literally watching the show. They turn it on, and then they have things to do, and so all they could do is hear.
But look, Todd, I don't try to talk over Steve. I'm talking and he talks over me. It's a whole difference. It may sound like it's coming together. Like when I asked the question, did he have a visitation pass? That's all I asked.
No, you started it. And you know what you did when you started. You kept it up.
I asked a very simple question. If he answered, again, I don't care about all that stuff. Just answer the question. And once we start going back and forth, I mean, I'm totally okay with debating, but he's just rambling and he's just talking and talking and talking.
That's right.
He's not taking breaths.
Well,
I pause.
Fair to do this when he's not on here to defend himself either.
Girl,
but see, here's the thing. He left the show.
He ruined and railroaded the show tonight. his raggedy disposition came out, the mask fell off, and he was who he actually is. He's a terrible person who can't think for himself.
I don't know if he's a terrible person.
Ideas.
I wouldn't say he's a terrible person.
I think he is.
Well, the thing is, if we're going to be on the show and we're going to have debate, okay, you can't get into this just juvenile name calling and just because, I mean, he was about.
Todd does all the time.
No, not like that.
No,
like,
I don't.
You know, Steven sounded like he was trying to be that schoolyard bully.
Like somebody calls me a name, I call him a name, no big deal, it's just banter. But if somebody's just screaming on the show all night, can't really formulate an argument, and they're just yelling stuff. Like, come on.
Just shut up, let me talk. I mean, it's like you're outside. We're on a show, okay? We're talking. I mean, we don't have to be too formal.
Steven, I mean, Keith wants to get in and defend his boyfriend.
Go ahead. I mean, Keith, you're complicit in it too because you say stuff that trigger him as well, and you let him do your dirty work for you.
Well, let me make a point. Let me make this point. First of all, you're wrong in thinking that this is a debate show. This is not a debate show. Stacy does not let us debate. No offense, but that's not what we do.
She does.
This is not. We're not debating. No, we're not supposed to be. Because Stacy, come on, you got to back me up on this.
Well, what I have to say is sometimes
he tries to moderate.
You to debate by letting you all ask each other questions about the subject. But
or are you talking about the different commentators? Like you got Laura.
Oh my gosh!
Sure. Kennedy.
Are you saying that all of them? Are you saying that all of them? Hold on.
No, hold on. No, you keep asking why or how we came up with this information. Everybody else knows about this. The biggest story in America. They have text messages from Laura Ingraham, from Tucker, saying all of these things that we were bringing up. We weren't bringing this up because we heard of it or we thought of it. This is a big story. How do you not know this?
They're being.
Where do you get the information?
It's in court. It's in court records.
Oh, it's in court.
I mean, you collaborate sources.
They're reporting it on all major news networks.
Oh,
Fox.
True. Okay, I got you.
Chamber,
I see where you're coming.
You see how that works?
They're being sued.
And how do you know it? Where do you get the information?
It's in court. It's in court records.
Oh, it's in court.
I mean, you collaborate sources.
They're reporting it on all major news networks.
Fox.
True. Okay, I got you.
Chamber,
I see where you're coming.
You see how that works?
So and then
you wait on Tucker to tell you what happened, and then you say, "Oh, well, Tucker said."
But Keith, you can't just go by one source that you believe. If you collaborate multiple sources, I mean, chances are. So here's the thing. Let me just say this about the show tonight, Stacey, because I know we're going to get into this debate.
Let me end the broadcast. We're still broadcasting.